The time now is 7:17. You're on Power Breakfast with Tessa Dooms. And moving on to a story around the common good in terms of our healthcare and our health facilities. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. Actually, I might have. That in the beginning of the year, I took a decision, in principle decision, to quit medical aids. And I just decided that what I'm going to do is rely on the public health care, because health is one of the things I believe should be fixed in this country in terms of public health care. And this was on the back of my parents, who are now 82. 83. Is my dad 83 now? I think my dad's 83 now. And 70. And they've never actually had any medical aid, but they've always had good public care. And I believe that public care and healthcare can be fixed, must be fixed, and can be useful. And so I'm more invested in the conversations about the quality of public healthcare than I ever have been before. So this morning we're going to be talking about particularly the state of healthcare facilities in Gauteng. With us this morning is Yandisa Zungula, who is the Denosa regional chairperson here in Gauteng, the Nursing Association, and we're also trying to get on the line the Gauteng MEC just to talk to us about what the state of our public health care facilities are in Gauteng, and whether the 100 million that has now been allocated from the Gauteng budget is enough. Yandisa, thank you for joining us this morning. As the Nursing Association, is this 100 million adequate for you?
Morning, Tessa, and morning to the listeners at home. I don't think it's enough. However, we are just excited by the mention of it, because it indicates that at least there will be some focus that is paid to the issues that we've been complaining about. But as for the stretch of it and the adequacy, I don't think it's adequate, because it's a lot of things that have gone wrong over some time.
Sure. So you're saying that the bar is as low as the fact that this is now a line item is actually a victory. So the quantum is not even here nor there. So what has been the struggle around getting an investment into public infrastructure, and what has the consequence been for the healthcare sector?
One of the difficult issues were the systems that were used before. Remember that the infrastructure was done by the DID, Department of Infrastructure Development, and very minimal budget allocated for day-to-day maintenances within the institution. We've been complaining about that system because it took forever to fix even an example of a broken window pane. Then it will be taken to DID. DID will advertise a tender for the company to come and fix that service provider. It will take forever. The processes of procurement then will be very long. Now, that system was not working. Now, I think last year or a year before last, the department then appointed someone within the Department of Health to deal with the issue of the infrastructure development. So we are hoping that the allocation of this budget won't follow the process that was frustrating us all. Maybe there will be some improvement now in the turnaround time, because that was really a frustrating issue. Imagine a window pane that is still going for a tender, and you wonder, and sometimes we'll even suspect that there was that inflation of prices, because you can imagine if a service provider is only coming to fix a window pane, it's likely that the amount that you are going to pay there is much, much bigger than when you were doing an internal infrastructure maintenance.
So, Yandisa, what you're also querying here is how much of this is subcontracted out, and the processes, the procurement processes being quite long. Are you then, as Denosa, saying that you want more insourcing of some of the maintenance requirements? Because you're saying that the process has been a hindrance, not just the resource availability.
Oh, yes. Not just the resources availability, that the processes itself were a problem. And we then hoping that there will be improvement on that as well. We are really calling for more budget allocation internally, so that, because the outsourcing process is frustrating when your day-to-day duty is dependent on how fast is the process of tender system, and whoever then comes will come at that time. Imagine a leaking tap continues to leak while waiting for those processes, and it affects people on the day-to-day duties. Leaking toilets.
Yeah.
These are things that you can't just postpone and wait for any other process. These are things that needs to be fixed then when they happen.
Then
because
and there,
they affect patient safety, they affect the day-to-day job, and it affects the nurses, because it is the nurses at the bedside of the patient.
So, Yandisa, we have been trying to get on the line the Gauteng MEC for Health and Wellness, but I think this is actually a really important thing that you've raised here, because it doesn't matter how much money is available, but if those services can't be delivered efficiently, it will still impact on the work that nurses like those that are part of DENOSA have to do. This idea of insourcing, is this a function that the Department of Health would do or can do, or is it a function that should be in collaboration with another department? I'm thinking here in terms of public infrastructure. So is there a public infrastructure role that can be played here, or is it about insourcing into hospitals? So are you saying that hospitals should be hiring maintenance staff as part of their staffing?
Yes. That would be very important, because those are the people who can respond immediately without waiting for any bureaucratic process outside that is depending, sometimes not even internally. It must be approved at a central office. You can imagine then how long will that process take?
And I think it will be good for us to hear from the department how much of this 100 million is on big infrastructure spend, which I'm sure you're not saying that the department has to hire construction workers, but the difference between whether this is about big infrastructure spend or working on the general maintenance. But I think the point also that you're making, Yandisa, that cannot be missed is that the general maintenance on a day-to-day basis, if it's done properly, it will down the line cost us less to refurbish. It will cost us less to deal with dilapidation, because there'll be less dilapidation. And I think it's a wonderful point to be made. Again, not giving up on the state and its machinery is so important, because it shows up in these small ways. Now we've outsourced even the maintenance guy. We've outsourced the janitor. We've outsourced every, small component that we can, and we've left the state in a predicament where it cannot actually be as efficient as it needs to be. So thank you so much, Yandisa Zungula from DENOSA, for just giving us that perspective on how we can actually have better health facilities. This thing that we outsource everything from the state is actually costing us, guys. It actually is.